So after having for months recommended to people that they upgrade to Windows 10 because, well, it's free and all that, something happened a few weeks ago when I was trying to do an upgrade, a build upgrade in Windows 10 because I was in the Insider program, so I was testing software and all for them. And something happened with me that has me changing that recommendation that if you're in Windows 7 or Windows 8 that you upgrade to Windows 10. And there's two things. The first thing that applies to pretty much everybody is when I went to do a build upgrade, not having changed any system settings, not having installed any new software, virtually nothing was changed. The update failed, and this happened for two successive build updates. Excuse me, updates. They weren't upgrades. Build updates. And when the update fails, you can't update anything. You can't do updates to Windows Defender, which is sort of the built-in Windows security software. Um, you can't update your system. You can't do security updates. No, nothing. Nothing. And this happened for two successive updates. And I finally, after it failed the second time, because I thought, well, it fails once, no big deal. It could just be that this update has an issue. If it fails a second time, then it's a bigger problem. So I got onto Microsoft tech support and was talking to the Microsoft tech support people. I told them all of the things that I had tried in attempting to fix this problem, and they said basically, well, since you've already done all of the things, there's only one thing left to do, and that's go back to whatever your previous operating system version was that you upgraded to Windows 10 from, which in my case was Windows 7, and you start over from scratch. Well, the problem with that is that when you do that, you lose all your data. Now, you may have it backed up or whatever, but I mean, all of your programs and everything like that's all gone. So, okay, maybe you've saved like documents and music and stuff like that somewhere to to another hard drive or to the cloud or what have you. But it doesn't change the fact that all of your programs, if you're your browser, any of that stuff, that all goes. And you have to, and obviously you have to spend hours and hours doing the Windows updates to get your system back to where it was. That takes hours. And you have hours more installing software that you need, and then also configuring the settings the way that you had it and all that. So it's a pain in the rear, and it's really an unacceptable quote unquote solution. It's not really a solution at all. And the fact that, like I said, there was virtually nothing changed. It wasn't anything that I did. It was something that Microsoft did. It was flawed code. It's a flawed operating system. Ticks me off even more because they don't take that seriously. They don't accept that there's something wrong on their end. It's just, well, we'll just start over from scratch. It's your, and it's this sort of flippant, nonchalant sort of way that they talk about it like it's no big deal when it is. Anytime the customer has to hose their entire system and start over from scratch because the people that coded the operating system screwed something up so that it won't update, that's a big deal. And the customer should never be put in that circumstance. They actually said to me, "Well, but it's free." It's not free. If I have to spend hours and hours and hours rebuilding everything from scratch, lose data potentially, that's not free. That's actually a huge cost. It's a huge cost in time. It's things that I wanted to keep that get lost. I mean, it's a big deal. So I can't recommend to people that they upgrade to Windows 10 because there's a chance that at some point down the line you will not be able to update your system. And if you can't update your system, then that opens you up to security issues, all kinds of things down the line. because I'm not kidding you, nothing will update. It wasn't just the build that wouldn't update; it's everything fails to update. Um, and they're also not even evidently interested in finding the cause for this problem. Um, at least they sure as hell didn't seem interested in trying to figure out what caused this. So I can't recommend to other people that they upgrade from Windows 7 or Windows 8 to Windows 10 when I know that this is a serious issue that's out there, quote unquote, in the wild, that you could end up coming into contact with, and the only solution for you is, well, start over from scratch, and that's not anything anybody ever wants to have to do. So I'm not recommending anymore that people upgrade to Windows 10. It's a flawed operating system, and Microsoft's attitude on this huge issue that they've got is pretty lackadaisical and uh, it. I'm trying to watch my language here. Let's just suffice to say it really makes me angry. Let's just suffice to say that it just really makes me angry. Um, because they don't take it seriously. And they're not interested, evidently, in trying to fix it. So I'm not going to recommend that people upgrade to Windows 10. Now, there's a second issue. Um, in everything from Windows 7 on up to Windows 10, um, they have removed the secdrive.sys driver. And without getting too much into the weeds, what this driver does is it's what allows you to validate physical copies of software that you have so that you can play your old video games. So if you have ever played old video games on your PC, when you buy your copy of of the CD or the DVD that the game is on, so that you can install it, you know that you have somewhere in the packaging or on the outside of the packaging the CD key, and you have to, and it's groups of letters and numbers separated by hyphens, and you have to enter all that in, and that's how you validate that your copy of that game is an authentic copy and that you paid for it and bought it legally and all that nonsense. Well, what happens in Windows 7 and on up into Windows 10 is they've removed that driver that does that, and so now you can't play these games anymore. You have to buy a new copy of the game that doesn't have that copy protection stuff on it, or you have to buy a digital copy of the game that also therefore would not have the copy protection stuff on it, which means you're paying twice for the game. You've already bought it once, you should be able to play it, you can't. And now the reason why they've done this is because it's a security hole. People were exploiting that SecuROM stuff that is how you validate these games. People were exploiting it and putting viruses on people's computers and stuff that way. Now, the odds of somebody getting a virus this way is pretty slim if they just use a little bit of common sense when they're using their computer. Um, if you're not opening up attachments that are coming from people you don't know, in your email, I'm talking about. If you're not being stupid on the internet and downloading nonsense that you don't have any business downloading and that kind of thing, then you would never encounter this being exploited. So I don't really know how many people are really going to be saved by them removing that driver. I think far more people are going to be inconvenienced by them removing the driver than will be saved from viruses and malware and nonsense because they did this. um, so what I'm going to be showing you is how to remove two of the oh, well, let me back up a second. Let's not get ahead of myself. In Windows 10, you can't fix this problem. You just can't play your old video games, period, end of discussion. In Windows 8, you can remove this update, but you will not be able to update things in the future, which is a big deal. So for all intents and purposes, you can't really remove it in Windows 8 either. In Windows 7, you can remove the update that removes the secdrive.sys driver in order, and this will allow you to play your old video games again. And you can continue to receive Windows updates in the future. So really the only operating version of Windows that gives you the option of removing the update so that you can continue to play your old video games, and you can still continue to get Windows updates, and removing this update won't cause you to stop getting Windows updates is in Windows 7. So I'm going to show you a couple, and I'm also going to show you too how you can remove the nagware in Windows 7 and maybe in Windows 8. You get this thing that pops up down here that's, reserve your upgrade to Windows 10. If that's annoying you, I'm going to show you also the update that you need to uninstall in order to remove that, so that you don't have the nagware constantly pestering you to reserve an upgrade for an operating system that, as you've just heard me say, I can't recommend that you upgrade to. Okay, so first things first, the update that removes the secdrive.sys driver that keeps you from being able to play your old video games is this one here. It's KB3086255. There's no spaces or anything in that. So what is that? What does any of that mean? We're going to go. I need to have two things open. I need to have my control panel open, and then I need to have my Windows Update open. So first thing I'm going to do, since we're going to be removing these updates, is we go into Programs and Features. You see here View Installed Updates, and it'll take this a minute to load all of your updates. But you see here in parentheses, you see the KB and then a bunch of numbers. That's the KB number. That's what Microsoft identifies the different updates as. So there's this that you understand here, which is the title that explains what the update is for. But then you have this here that never makes any sense to anybody, and people just kind of blip over it. That's the actual number of the updates. She's sort of cataloging these different updates. That's the actual catalog number, and it's KB for knowledge base, I believe, is what that stands for, and then the number. So you're looking for KB3086255. I've already removed it, so I'm not going to search for that. I'll search for one that I know I've got that's here in the list. So you go up here to search, your search bar, and you're just going to type in KB and then the number of the update that you're searching for. And this is the one that I searched for, since it's the one that I knew I had in the list, and then it'll just pop up. So you're going to search for this, the KB3086255. It'll pop up here in the list. Come on. And then you're just going to right click and then left click on uninstall, and it'll uninstall that update. The other update that you want to uninstall is the one that has the nagware with the thing that pops up down here, reserve your copy of Windows 10. If you want to remove that to get rid of that thing constantly pestering you to upgrade, or reserve your upgrade to Windows 10, this is what you're going to search for. Now you're not going to put a space in there though. It's going to be all one thing, and you'll search for KB3035583, and I'll just repeat it, KB3035583, KB3035583, and again, no spaces in it in any of that, even though this list here shows it with a space. And the other one that you need to remove if you want to be able to play your old video games that have the CD keys and everything is KB3086255. KB3086255. One more time. KB3086255. Those are the two that you want to remove. So you'll just search those up here, and when it pops up, you're going to search them one by one, obviously, and remove them one by one. You're just going to right click and then left click on uninstall, and you're going to uninstall those. Now, once you've done that, you need to come in here, and this is your Windows Update. You just get to that by going to Start Menu, All Programs, and then you'll see it here in this list up here. You're going to change your settings. More than likely, your computer is set to install updates automatically. Well, the problem with that is that when you check for updates, it's just going to go on ahead and install everything automatically, and you don't ever get the chance to deselect it in the list of updates or anything. It just goes on ahead and puts it back on your computer after you've just removed it. Well, that doesn't do you any good. So what you're going to have to do in order to be able to hide the update in the list is you're going to have to change settings, and you're going to have to select, what I would recommend selecting is check for updates, but let me choose whether to download and install them. That's the option you're going to want to select. Then you're going to click check for updates. It's going to check for updates, and you're going to see those two updates pop up back in the list of things that you can update. What you're going to do, and I have to use, go back in the control panel. I'm going to have to use this as an example. So pretend for a minute, because I don't have any updates I need to install. So pretend for a minute that the list of updates that pops up is going to look something similar like this, but there'll be little check boxes. What you're going to do is you're going to right click, and you're going to select hide. It'll either say hide or hide update, and you're going to left click that. It'll prompt you to verify you want to hide it, and you're going to tell it that you do want, in fact, to hide it. And what that does is when you go to do updates in the future, it's not going to just automatically update that without you wanting it. And that just keeps those updates that you've uninstalled from coming back onto your computer in the future. Now, going back into our settings here, I believe once you've hidden those updates that you can put this back to the recommended setting here, which is install updates automatically. I don't think it's going to install those updates that you've hidden after because you're going to remove them. It's probably going to want you to restart your computer, so you're going to restart your computer, then you're going to go and search for updates after you've changed this option here and hidden them. You're going to check for updates. I think after all of that you can probably put this back on the recommended setting, and I don't think it's going to ever, because those updates are hidden, I don't think it's ever going to put them back on your computer. If you want to leave this changed to check for updates, but let me choose whether to download and install them, then you have to remember that you're going to have to check for updates periodically on your own. The computer's not going to go and download them and install it and all for you. You're going to have to check for it on your own and install it on your own. If you choose to do that, which is what I've chosen to do, if you choose to do that, you're going to want to, I would say, try and check for updates once a day, but no less than once a week. And if you're going to check for them, you're going to want to check for them preferably once a day or once a week. I wouldn't go any longer than once a week. I wouldn't do it once every 2 weeks or once a month. I would try and do it once a week. And if you're going to do it once a week, then the day you're going to want to pick is Tuesday because of the whole Microsoft Patch Tuesday nonsense. So you're going to want to check it sometime on Tuesday. But again, I would recommend doing it once a day. And to do that, let me get out of this so I can show you by going back into it. To do that, you're going to go click Start down here, All Programs, Windows Update, and you're going to just click left click check for updates, and it'll check for updates. And then you'll install whatever updates it finds. Okay, so that's how you remove the update that removes. That's a little confusing, but you're going to this is I've shown you how to remove the update that removes the secdrive.sys driver that prevents you from being able to play your old video games that have the copy protection CD keys and stuff on them. And I've shown you how to remove the nagware that keeps telling you to reserve your Windows 10 upgrade. And I've also just want to reiterate real quick that um, while I had recommended that people um, upgrade to Windows 10 from Windows 7 or Windows 8 because, well, it's free and it's awesome. I can't recommend that people do that anymore because of that critical problem that I had and other people, frankly, also had because it was popping up everywhere that people were having this problem um, where your system stops being able to complete an update. And when you can't update your system, that's a big deal. It leaves you vulnerable in terms of security. It means that any kind of new updates to features and things that Microsoft has done, you can't get that, and you end up having to start all over from scratch in Windows 7 or Windows 8, whatever you had before, and that's just not an acceptable option for most people. So I can't recommend that people upgrade to Windows 10. So I've covered all of the three things that I needed to cover, and I've done it in a little bit less time than the first time I recorded this video, so I'm going to leave it at that. I do hope that this helps some people and it maybe gives people some critical information before they decide to do the upgrade. Because again, if you want to be able to play old video games, or you're a little bit concerned about, well, this upgrade slash update failure, um, you don't want to you don't want to end up being in a situation where you lose all of your data. You have to start over from scratch. That is something that you need to know about before you make a decision. So I hope that this gives people a little bit better information than what's out there, and will enable people to make a little bit better of a decision about whether or not they upgrade. Because Lord knows Microsoft has not talked about. I mean, good luck finding out about just how prevalent that problem really is. They don't talk about that. It's all sales pitch, which is that's a normal thing. It's it's all sales pitch and oh it's free and it's great. And so, well, yeah, but there are problems, and I know that because I was testing the software for them for 9-10 months. So now that you've got a little bit of information from somebody who's literally a Microsoft insider, um, literally on the inside testing this stuff and has seen it, I hope that helps you make a better decision than just upgrade because well everybody else is doing it or because Microsoft's pestering you and telling you shit. So I hope this helps some people.